Here we go. Let's try E4. Okay, music. Hey, 1863. Good rating. So we got a Sicilian playing the main line here, going for the open Sicilian. He plays the dragon. I guess I'll do the usual. The Yugoslav attack. Castle queenside. Yep, that's the way you're supposed to play, to try and equalize with this pawn push. Now let's see, what's the order of moves here? You want to take this knight here, and you want to take this pawn here. I think you take the pawn first. And then you take the knight. And the idea is that you create this weakness here. But, you know, he could have taken my knight here. Anyway, since he took back... Oh, I guess because my knight was hitting his queen, so that's why that didn't work. And then you put the bishop here to block this. Good diagonal he plays here. It's all pretty standard so far. Then, well, we'll see how it goes from here. That's about all I know, theory-wise. Let's blockade this pawn, maybe threaten this fork. So he can't play. Well, I don't think he should play f5 immediately. Maybe he can play it. Moving the knight eliminates a target for his knight, and maybe I can also pile up pressure on the knight. It's kind of pinned. If it moves at the moment, I'll take the queen. But after this bishop is gone, then the queen is adequately protected and the knight is not pinned anymore. So it's not really a long-lasting pin or a difficult threat to meet. But bishop there. Threatens to win a pawn. Yeah, he can respond with bishop here. But yeah, maybe bringing the bishop out first before moving the knight would have been more correct, because that was actually a moment where he couldn't take my knight because I would take his queen. Okay, so he steps aside with the queen. You know, I still have this fork. And I also could put the bishop on that square. Putting the bishop there, he just moves the queen to the side. I kind of like the fork. I don't know why exactly. I'll have the bishop there anyway. This slight squared bishop, yeah, maybe it's a good piece. Maybe it will become a good piece if I leave it alone, so it's not a good piece anymore. It's gone. So, attack the knight. Can't really take, because when he takes back, well, I'll have to save my bishop, and that'll give him time to defend the pawn. So I want to take... If I do take, I want to take at a time when it's winning a pawn. Okay, so he puts his rook there. I take, he takes with the rook. I just step aside with the queen. So I take, he takes with the pawn. fixes his pawn structure. Everything's defended and my bishop is hanging. So I guess that's not good. I could bring my queen out. Maybe. Maybe I can do this. It's getting tricky here. Yeah, I can't go there. The queen will just take it. I missed a few things like that in my earlier games. I could go here with the queen. I'm just thinking of pressure on this pawn and that skewer. So if he moves the pawn, I'll take the knight and then put my bishop here. He'll probably take back with the rook in that case to avoid that scenario. And then I've got this weakened pawn structure I've been aiming for, that weakened pawn structure. Step back. Okay, so I can take the pawn and he will put a rook here. I still have this idea of the skewer after I trade off this knight. So if he moves the rook, then I have the idea of just winning a pawn. Do I have the idea of winning a pawn? I take here. He takes my bishop, I guess, and threatens this square. Well, this square is defended by... This square is defended by the bishop. Oh, and also I could trade queens to eliminate that pressure there. So what can I do here? I was thinking maybe I could move my bishop with tempo. And then try and grab one of them pawns. Yeah, so he defends. Let's lift my rook up, avoiding the dark squares. We have the same colored bishops. This might just turn into a drawish position. Oh, I did win a pawn though. So I could put my rook here defending the bishop. Now he's looking at this pawn. Okay, if he takes my bishop, I take with the rook. He takes the queen, I take with the queen. Yeah, it is still adequately defended, so I can just defend the A file. Okay, now I have to move. Oh, this is bad. It gives him, he takes my rook, I take back, it gives him passed pawns here. But I am hitting this pawn. Yep. Yeah, it's pulling the C pawn over here was a pain. Okay. Just block with the queen. That'll actually make it a little harder to defend. Let's defend my pawn. I think with the queens off, it's harder for me to defend against these passed pawns here. That's what I was trying to say. I have passed pawns too, but they're not as far advanced. Was that a mistake? Is that the chance I was looking for in this game? He's hesitating here, yeah. I guess he overlooked that. And, attacking my queen. Let's defend. Oh, should have considered coming here to here. Threatening mate. Yeah, queen to queen to h4 would have been a much better move. It has two ideas. One is to go here and one is to go here. Okay, so I was expecting that. Let's defend this pawn. See, and he wouldn't have been able to play a move like that because queen here, there's this check. Yeah, let's do it now. This is a mate threat, right? Okay, well, I won one. That was nice. He was also starting to threaten stuff here. He's got three pieces there. And he was also attacking the bishop, so I'm sure it looked like a good move, but I did have the mate threat there. You know, the other idea here is I can take there and that would defend here. But mate is quicker. Okay, let's play a rapid game. (21-23), another strong rapid player. Been seeing that lately. I'm going to try e4, e5, although it's a bit it's a bit dangerous to play e4, e5 against a strong player. There's so many tactical lines. Okay, we've got the Italian game. Okay, he plays the main line there with c3. I attack the pawn. And he goes for one of the old main lines with the d4. This is one of those tactical lines I was referring to. So you take here and give the check. He also had the option of pushing this pawn. It's the Max Lang attack, I think it turns into. So this line, I can actually grab a pawn here. And then take the knight, and you take with the bishop. This is kind of an important wrinkle here because the knight is a bit exposed if you take with the knight, or the bishop is a bit exposed if you take with the knight, something like that. Yeah, so he's going to get the piece back. He's just throwing this as a tempo move. What's the answer here? I think the answer is you retreat the bishop, get the bishop out of trouble and let him take the knight. Because it's, yeah, I've forgotten the name of the attack. The Mueller attack. The Mueller attack. Yeah, that's what he's playing here. I did a video about this one. Yeah, he gets a choice of which knight to take back now. I'm going to castle. Free up that knight. He can only take one knight. And at some point he needs to take one, but at the moment I have two knights hanging. So he chooses to take that one. So look at the times. He's used no time at all. This is probably all theoretical knowledge. And you know, I had to think there a little bit. So where does the knight go now? If it goes here, it gets taken. Goes here, it gets taken. Could go here, maybe. But these squares are covered. Could go here and attack the bishop. But actually I like it coming here to the king side better. And at this point I'm definitely out of my book. The last move I really remembered was this bishop retreat. Was supposed to be good. Okay, I can move my knight again. I think I will. And then the queen is defending the bishop and threatening his bishop. So where can my knight go? I could take the pawn. I take the pawn, queen takes back, and I take the bishop. Oh no, the queen defends the bishop as well as the knight. See, I would have queen and bishop, but knight takes defended by the queen. So that does not work. Taking the pawn does not work, so let's just do a normal kind of move here. Bring the knight around to the king side for defense. That was my idea. And let's see, the net of this is that I'm still up a pawn, and white still has to find a way to prove compensation. And I'm just going to take that bishop and then push the d pawn here. The c pawn will become weak, so maybe his compensation will be this attack on the c pawn here. After this d pawn is up, my bishop can come out to this square. Might be useful. If his bishop retreats, my bishop is also looking at this square, this pawn. So I'm expecting him either to defend the bishop or trade it. And now he's using time, so I guess he's out of his book too. What else? What else is there besides bishop takes bishop? Or you could defend the bishop with a pawn move, with a rook move. Or you could trade. After the trade, my queen will be here on a dark square, and it'll feel pretty safe, I think. Ah, yeah, he defended with the bishop. So I want to just push this pawn. If I do that, he can push his pawn. Well, then I can take the bishop. Okay. So let's go ahead and just push the pawn, get my bishop out of hock here. That's his compensation. He's got better development. This yeah, the Mueller attack is okay for white. It's not. I think with best play it leads to an even position, but it's dangerous. Yeah, so he had to take anyway. And I've got a square for my knight now. Let's see, can I throw in bishop here first? It'd be convenient to put the bishop here while his rook is... so I go here, he takes my knight, I take his rook. I go here, he pins my bishop, I can take with the knight. I wanted to get this move in while the knight is covering these squares so his rook can't go sideways. You can go here, of course. Can't come in here. Yep, so he goes back. Okay, so now I've got to move the knight. Probably I have to move it here. Knight takes, pawn takes, and then bring the rook over to defend. Actually, there is a skewer on this diagonal. I can't really immediately take advantage of it, but maybe here, depending on what he plays. Bishop here, he puts the pawn up, I can at least win this pawn. So anyway, if you ever face that Mueller attack, it's all pretty natural. Just have to remember to take with the bishop here, and then if he goes down that line with the pawn push, that's when it becomes a Mueller attack. You can retreat your bishop here. And that's maybe just enough to get you through. And yeah, I'm starting to feel good about my position, but he still has the advantage in development, so he's got compensation for the pawn even still. So it is a dangerous attack with that long-term compensation. Yeah, yeah. So he stepped away from the skewer, and yeah, I'm going to bring a rook over to defend. I think what I'd like to do ideally is line up my rooks like this. Have rooks there and there, and then push this pawn forward. He takes, I can take his rook, hitting the queen. So that would be ideal. Let's see if he will give me time to do this. It's interesting, he's not going after my weakness here, which is this pawn. He could have, you know, played this move, and now he's going after some weaknesses here. Can I do a trade? Say I double rooks. He takes this pawn, I take this pawn. Then he can, well, he's got to trade rooks first. His rook is hanging. Oh yeah, the queen, never mind. The queen from this square defends that pawn and attacks my rook there. So double rooks, queen takes, I can't even take the pawn. So what should I do here? I'm kind of liking this idea. Let's see if this is good. Might not be good. Yeah, might not be good. Stepping back with the queen, not only to defend here, but also to allow this this pawn to come forward. Notice that the bishop is defending the rook here. But I don't know if that's good enough. Let's think about this. He pushes. Oh, I could take with the rook. He pushes, I take with the rook. If he takes back, I'll take with the queen. Yeah, so he can't push. I was thinking, what I was wondering about was, say, he pushes, I take. He pushes, I take. Then the queen comes in and takes the rook. Check. I take back, and then his rook comes in and takes the rook. Check. Is he trying to trap my bishop? I'm not sure. Or is he just looking for play? I could have taken with the rook. I didn't have to take that way. I did not have to take that way. Maybe rook here. Sorry, not there. Rook to this square, and then push this pawn up. And if he takes, I can take back with the rook. And if he pushes, I can take with the rook. And it's always good to scare him with the idea of an attack on g2. Queen, bishop here. Obviously it's protected by the queen now, but yeah, so he played there. So I want to play c6. Is that working? Pawn push, I take. Pawn takes, I take. Pawn does nothing, I take. He can take here, and my king has an escape square now. Yeah, this is the last vestige of his attack. The last vestige of the Mueller attack. If I can get rid of that, I think I'm in good shape. And I just have to hope I can keep it together. Hope I can keep it together the rest of the way. And hope I didn't overlook something here. Ah, bishop there. Or queen there is a check, and it's attacking this pawn, so I can't block with the queen, but I can block with the bishop. I don't mind that. I don't think that's a problem. Okay, it's dangerous to put my queen on a light square, right? You could put the bishop here. Yeah, that's how I lose games like this. So here. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. 1, 2, 3, 4. So actually I picked up quite a few pawns by now. Well, he sacked a pawn over here. I won the pawn in the center, and he sacrificed a pawn at the beginning of the attack. So I can always screw up, but this should be a winning position for me, actually. I was really expecting him to put his bishop there. I guess I could have, I can play the same move anyway. But if his queen were still here, it would be hitting this pawn, so he could trade rooks. Say he had back up. Say he had queen here and bishop here. The bishop would be hitting my rook. So I would move my rook, and then we would have this possibility of a trade. Yeah, I'm not going to let that happen. Oh, and it's even winning a piece. Oh, it's not winning a piece because it's been. Never mind. Okay, queen check here is dangerous. Let's just step up with the king. Maybe it wasn't that dangerous since I always had that option to step up. Okay, so now I'll keep these pawns around the king and just start pushing on the queen side and just get a passed pawn here. I think I have an easy plan to win this game now. He is, with this bishop, he is putting pressure on these pawns to try and slow them down, I guess. Oh, I think that's helpful. Gives me a better structure here around my king. And now I can't use the bishop to slow these pawns down. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep pushing. He got his king away from a check on this diagonal. Maybe there's a way to do a check that gets the queens off. Okay, this is my plan to get these guys up here as far as possible. You know what he has now? He has this pin on the pawn. Okay, he's not taking advantage of it, but he is looking to come in here maybe. Okay, checks here and here. What I want to do, I guess, is put my queen here maybe. Then I can push and push without his queen coming in. His queen can still get to this square. These positions are always a little bit tricky with the queens on the board. And this pawn, yeah, this pawn is loose if I move my queen. So lift my queen up here. Now his queen is attacking this pawn, but it's not in a position to come into my camp anymore. He could put the queen there, looking at these light squares. I push a pawn, he can take it. But if he puts the queen here, I can take this pawn. That's it, he can't do everything. If he puts the queen there, I take this pawn. So it's just a slow process of working these pawns forward. That's what I got to go for. And try and ensure that there's no sudden attack. Yeah, here. A sudden check that will win a pawn or give him some kind of perpetual check. I'm feeling pretty good that that my king is safe. This pawn here, although it's a bit weak, he is preventing checks along this diagonal. Okay, take or just push? I say take because the passed pawn, the further away it is from the king, the better. And then you can use the queen to push that pawn forward. Yeah, this is where it gets dangerous, but there's no checks. This is defended. Queen's on the diagonal. Let's push. And push. He's got to bring his queen back, yeah. So if I go here, I guess here. Here I'm threatening to push. He can now try and threaten this pawn somehow. Maybe put his queen here to threaten this guy. Yeah, if he does that, I was planning to take this pawn. That's foolish. Okay, so I guess I am going to have to go with this idea of queen here. And allow a check here. But yeah, queen with a passed pawn can always push through. The only thing you have to watch out for in these queen and pawn endgames is the position of your king. And if that becomes weak, becomes open, then your opponent has lots of ways to draw. But this should be a win. Even if, well, I don't know. The queen takes here, my king runs this way. And then there's no follow-up check, so I at least get one more move to organize my defense. Yeah, he spotted that. I'm going to just queen and see if what I said was true. Yeah, so this is the move. You can check here. The king runs this way. You can check here. Yeah, white's moves are easy at this point. The king will come forward to that square or that square. But the important point about this square is that it defends here. And then well, I can try a few more checks, see where the king wants to go. Maybe there's a mate here. Oh, I can't go there. He's waiting for a mistake like that. Let's chase that queen away from my king. Yeah, okay. So now, bring the queen over here. Two queens versus one, usually a pretty good deal. Yeah, and mate here. Okay, he resigned. Well, nice game. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.